Hey family, welcome back to Kingdom South Plus, where we work the words of Jesus beyond Sunday. If this is your first time here, my name is Pastor Sean. I'm grateful that you're listening to this wherever you get your podcast. We're a day late. Normally these recaps come out on Mondays, but it's been a busy weekend. If you know, you know. So I use Monday to rest and recover and recalibrate. But I'm here. It's Tuesday morning as I'm recording this. It will be released later in the morning. So sometime between now and noon, you will have access to this recap. Anywho, Sunday was a good day. It was week 4 of our Gender Wars series and the conclusion of Women's Month. If you've been keeping up with our recaps, you know we set aside the month of May as Women's Month, given that Mother's Day is already sandwiched in there. So we just figured why not wrap our entire strategy around ministering to women. So it's been a really great month. I'd encourage you, if you've missed any of the content around Women's Month, that you would go back and check it out. It started with a really great podcast episode. We launched Unhurried, which is the evolution of something we used to call Sabbath Devo, just reminding us of the importance of rest and recovery and recalibration and all the things that are necessary in order for us to be our best selves. We kicked off the conversation with one of the elders at our church, Elder Erica, as she shared her journey in leadership as a Black woman of faith, navigating through the corporate world. It's a really good conversation. As a matter of fact, we'll link it in this description so that you can check out that episode in case you missed it. And then, of course, we've had 3 weeks of messages. Up to this point, we've had 3 weeks of messages that you can always go back and listen to the recaps for right here on Kingdom South Plus. So all in all, it has been a really, really good month. Sunday, the conclusion was a special tag team message. And I say special, not just because it was a tag team message, but because of who was doing the tag team message. This was a mother-daughter duo. So we have a mother-daughter on our ministerial team. It is beautiful to watch. It is fitting to watch because it reminds us of the sovereignty of God. So you've got a daughter who's at the beginning of her ministerial journey, and you've got a mother who has been in ministry for a while. And so just having an opportunity to watch the dynamics of their relationship continue to grow and flourish as they are in ministry together has just been a really, really beautiful thing. As a pastor, I'm just grateful that God would trust me with this kind of responsibility of shepherding not just people in general, but shepherding those who God has uniquely gifted and called to do amazing things. So it was really great to watch them grow and come into their own. And so I want to just share a little bit about kind of what I took away from the time that we spent together. So they unpacked Hebrews 12. And I thought it was such a fitting text. As a matter of fact, it was so fitting. I was contemplating using the same text earlier in the month. I was contemplating using this text for Vision Sunday, which is coming up next week. And I was going to lean into just 2 or 3 words in those opening verses, but they unpacked something different than what I was going to unpack. And I think it's really helpful for where we are, not just as a spiritual family, but also just people in general. So hopefully you can get some value from this recap. So Hebrews 12, which talks about this cloud of witnesses that surrounds us. That was a line that I was going to unpack, this cloud of witnesses, because I think sometimes here in America, we can assume that because we have technology and because we have so many other tools at our disposal, that we are somehow the best Christians. And we forget that not only are we not the best Christians, we're not the first Christians. There are people who've come before us who've made significant contributions to the Christian faith and whose examples we can learn from if we will humble ourselves enough to do so. So that cloud of witnesses has always been just very special to me, very unique to me as I think about throughout church history, some of the things that have taken place and how we can learn from those examples. But the part that they parked on is this idea of laying aside the sin and weight. I want you to lean in here. The part that they leaned into was this idea of sin and weight. And I was so glad they took the time to unpack the distinction. Because sometimes when we read terms in the Bible, we can read them together. So we assume that the author is just saying the same thing a different way. And that's not the case at all. There is a difference between sin and weight. There's a difference between sin and weight. Everything that is not helping you isn't sin. Everything that's unproductive isn't sin. Some things are weight. So no, it doesn't fall into the morality space. You don't get into this ethical questioning. But if you're honest, it's not helping you. It's not getting you to where not only God wants you to be, but oftentimes it's not even getting you to where you want to be. So I thought that was beautiful just to spend some time really unpacking. The illustrations were great. I was talking through just carrying luggage and baggage and things that weigh us down as we attempt to run this race. And of course, the writer of Hebrews, who's unknown, there's speculation around who wrote Hebrews. I don't necessarily think it's as important, but the point is very clear that he's alluding to this athletic culture that surrounded them of races and so many other games where a lot of these examples that are being used start to make sense. We see Paul use reference to race and all of that good stuff. And in order to run in that day, less was more. So they would literally exercise naked. It's this Greek word from whence we get our English word gymnasium. Because they believed the more they carried, the slower they ran. That was a word all by itself. That was a word all by itself. Because if we're honest, all of us have been in seasons and situations where things have been holding us down. It could be our past. It could be our preoccupation with fill in the blank that keeps us from running the race that God has set before us. So all in all, I thought it was a really, really good Sunday. I thought it was a really good message, such a fitting way to close out the series, especially for women. Not that men don't have sin and weight and things that are weighing on them, but I think it is very unique to women sometimes because women are naturally carriers. And so there can be this tendency to, because of emotional wiring, just be really attached to things that may or may not be helpful. So I thought it was just a really, really good message. So shout out to the mother-daughter duo, Pastor Denisha and Minister Jennifer, for closing us out with a bang. It was a really, really good message. All in all, as I mentioned earlier, Women's Month has been really good. I'm excited because this is my final year preaching twice. So I had 2 messages in this series. Next year, I'm going down to 1 message. I really want to give these ladies space to share and to add value to our community. I've been a lot of things. I've never been a woman. I don't plan to be a woman. So I'm grateful that God has given us gifts that know what it's like to navigate that space, who can minister to the women that we have. So next year is going to be even better. Looking forward to it. Thank you for hanging out with us over the course of these recaps for Gender Wars. Hopefully you've gotten some value from it. The ladies who are listening, even if you're a guy who's peeping in, hopefully you've gotten some value from these recaps as well. To shift gears into a bit of a forecast for the upcoming week, Fifth Sundays we've designated as Vision Sundays. I'm not a one and done vision kind of guy. There's some churches, if they do a Vision Sunday at all, Vision Sunday is normally at the top of the year. They got a slogan, a catchy phrase. They may put it on some merch, put it on the wall, and they just leave it be. I just don't think that works. As one writer puts it, mission drifts and vision leaks. And it's especially true now where people are constantly being inundated with information. So we need these consistent reminders of why we're together and what God is calling us to do. So we set aside Fifth Sundays to do that. Fifth Sunday is also our family meal. So it's one of the ancient practices that we've revived from the early church, hence this cloud of witnesses. We've revived that ancient practice of meal sharing. They talk about it in the book of Acts. And it was just a huge part of their discipleship culture. And I think that it is one of the places where real transformation can happen. So even as we build out this culture of meal sharing at this level and continue to expand it out, I think it's going to be just transformative for the mission that God has called us to. So I'm looking forward to Sunday being able to share a bit of the adjustments that we're making. I am a huge fan of basketball. So I always tell our team, I want to win. And I'm going to shoot until I make it. So we make adjustments all the time. We're not married to a particular strategy. We're married to an outcome, a result. We want to do our best to work the words of Jesus together in Columbia. And so we're going to do whatever it takes within the confines of what God has called us to do to make that happen. So we're always making adjustments to create better language and better clarity around what we're trying to do. So that's what this coming Sunday is really going to be about, just clarifying some things, making sure that we're all on the same page in the midst of everything that's going on in the world, in the midst of everything that goes on, even within the context of church. It is easy sometimes to unintentionally just find yourself drifting. And so we want to bring everybody back to the center just so that we're all reminded of why we exist and what God has called us to do. So it's going to be a really good Sunday. I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to sharing the recap with you next week. Then we are headed into Men's Month. So we're equal opportunity here at Kingdom South. We are equal opportunity at Kingdom South. So May was Women's Month. June is going to be Men's Month. Of course, Father's Day is situated in there. So same thing. Let's just go ahead and map our strategy around ministering to the men. So I think it's going to be a really good month and looking forward to being able to share the recap. So if you are listening to this and you know any man in your life, your son, your husband, your father, your boo thing, your uncle, your best friend, your coworker, I want you to get ready to share the Men's Month recaps with him because he's going to get some tremendous value from it. All right, that is all that I have time for today. Of course, these recaps are a bit shorter when I'm not preaching because I'm more reflecting on just what I gathered from the messages and just offering a bit of a pastoral rant here and there. But anyway, I hope you got some value from it, even in this short amount of time that we've been together. I've got one ask of you. It's the only ask I ever ask, and that is, if this added any type of value to your Jesus journey, would you help me help more people? Just send this to somebody that you know who needs it. If you've missed any of the recaps, weeks 1 through 3, if you missed them, I'd encourage you to go back and binge listen. If you have been listening to the recaps from weeks 1 through 3 and you haven't shared it, do me that one favor. Help me help more people. Send it to somebody you know who needs to hear those recaps. Until next time, this is Kingdom South Plus, where we work the words of Jesus beyond Sunday.